السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله رب العالمين، صلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا ثم أما بعد. Welcome, inshallah. This is going to be our series finale with Sheikh Mikhail Smith from Qalam Institute. Alhamdulillah, we've dedicated the February month. We dedicate February as a month of Qalam Institute at VRIC. We've had a beautiful, alhamdulillah, series with each instructor from Al Qalam Institute, and finally, alhamdulillah, here in this very cold weather outside, a very heartwarming subject with Imam Mikhail, inshallah, Azza wa Jal, on the dangers of seeking and desiring fame and showing off an al-riya, al-ujbu wal-riya. Just a quick few words, inshallah, from his biography. Imam Mikhail Smith, he grew up until he was 18 years old in a very spiritual Christian family, where he embraced Islam afterwards, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen, in Buffalo, New York. There he joined Darul Uloom in Buffalo, New York as well, where he, alhamdulillah, finished his hifz of the Quran and studies. Then he earned his bachelor's degree, as a matter of fact, also as well, from Darul Uloom in Islamic studies in Canada. He moved to Maryland, became a scholar and resident at the Islamic Society of Annapolis. Is that what it is? Yeah. Now, in Baltimore area, mashallah, he has actually also served in different capacities in different communities, and as a full-time instructor at the Al-Rahma Seminary in Baltimore. And currently he is, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen, working as an instructor for Al Qalam Institute. Without any further delay, Imam Mikhail Smith.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Testing. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa salatu wa salam ala Sayyidina wa Nabiyina wa Mawlana Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Allahumma inna nas'aluka hubbak wa hubba man yuhibbuk wa hubba amalin yuqarribuna ila hubbik ya Rabbil Alameen. We begin tonight by affirming our intention, inshaAllah ta'ala. Our intention in these types of gatherings is to sit with righteous people, righteous brothers and sisters, and by means of that company, gain closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, gain understanding of our deen. By gaining that understanding of our deen, gaining pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and gaining closeness. Specifically tonight, as the conclusion to this month-long series, I don't know if you know, but the inspiration behind this series was actually based on Ihya Ulumuddin, which is Imam Ghazali's main work, the Ihya, in which he goes into various aspects of the deen. But one of the most important aspects of Ihya is, without doubt, the munjiyat and the muhlikat, the parts about how to save one's soul, how to rescue one's soul, and muhlikat, and the things that are absolutely destructive for one's soul. And what's amazing about reading Ghazali, Ibn Qayyim al-Jawzi rahimahullah, he wrote a summary of the entire work, Minhaj al-Qasidin, which I'll be using for tonight's lesson. What's amazing about the works of these scholars is, regardless of how far away they are distanced from our time, it remains ever relevant to us. As you read it and we go through some of the things that we'll be discussing this evening, you'll realize how important. Now, the topic I chose to speak about is, well, to me, the most important of all of them, of course. I guess everyone would say that, right, Sheikh? All right, the most important of all of them, which is Hubbajah. Hubbajah and Riya. So, Hubbajah is the love of fame, the love of being known. And Riya is to show off in one's actions, where the external is different from the internal. Now, the interesting thing about this topic is that, classically speaking, this topic was something that was primarily for scholars. Like Imam Ghazali wrote these words, and he was actually writing to the ulama, to the qurra. to these people of recitation, to the scholars of deen, because they were the ones with the platform. Therefore, they were the ones that were most susceptible to this specific spiritual dilemma and spiritual disease, which is hubb al-jah. Now, the crazy part about the time that we live in today is we've found a way to give every single human being who just has one of these a platform for fame, a means to eternity, a means for your name, immortality, in a way where my name lives on beyond me. So classically speaking, how many people could be in the front? 4, 5, 6? But now we found a way for everyone to be on the stage, to be observed, even if you're the only one liking your profile. At least I'm on the stage. At least I'm on the stage. Right? So as we read what he says about how to cure this love, how to rid oneself of love, what I actually want to teach you is something else. What I want to teach you is that any love other than the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you have will punish you. I'll say that again. Any love that you have, other than the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, will be a source of pain and punishment to you. Hassan or Hussein, I forget which one, they went to Ali radiallahu an, and they asked, Father, do you love us? He said, yes. They said, do you love our mother? Yes. He said, well, how do you love us both? And Allah says, مَا جَعَلَ اللَّهُ لِرَجُلٍ مِنْ قَلْبَيْنِ فِي جَوْفِهِ. Allah doesn't create two hearts in an individual. How do you love us and Allah? He says, son, you misunderstood. I love you because Allah told me to love you. I love you because actually my love for you is because of my love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so as we read about this, the problem that Imam Ghazali realized is that there's two ways that you can become attached to the dunya. You can either become attached through mal, wealth, or you can become attached through fame. Both of them are so that you gain control and influence. Some use wealth for influence. Some say, well, I can just use my Twitter account, my YouTube. Now the primary problem that most people fall into is they forget what is maqsood li dhatihi and maqsood li ghayrihi. What that means is some things are a objective in and of themselves, and some things are a means to something else, correct? Some things are objectives that are sought after in and of themselves, and some things are means. See, the most dangerous part about fame is that when you love fame, it becomes the objective of all that you do, not a means for anything else. Now you may say, okay, so what's the big deal? What's the conclusion of that? Well, people will seek to become famous by the most idiotic of things. Check YouTube. They'll go viral doing the stupidest of things for that moment of fame, because after all, fame is what we all want. Fame is maqsood li dhatihi. So whether it's, you go on YouTube, I'm not going to start naming what people have went viral on YouTube. You can see that for yourself. But it no longer matters how you got famous. What matters is I got those 5 seconds that the whole world knew my name. Now, there's there's 2 negative consequences of this fame, though. And they're polar opposites. I'll name one, you tell me the other. One is depression. Someone tell me the other one. None of my tulab, none of my students. One is depression. What's the other? Extreme narcissism. Extreme narcissism. Take that nice selfie, post it on Instagram. One of 2 things. Likes come in. It starts to feel good. There's like a chemical release, they say, that's coming as those likes are coming. And you keep checking them. And you become enamored with your own beauty and your own self. You guys know where the word narcissism came from Greek mythology. The one who was so beautiful and his enemy wanted to destroy him. See, this is how vanity destroys you. His enemy wanted to destroy him, so he lured him over to a pool of water. And when he gazed inside, he looked at his own self and he goes, "Ooh, I'm kind of fly, yo." Well, he didn't say that, but that's how we say it where I'm from, okay? They're not used to slang here, I see.
They're in the suburbs.
Okay, my bad.
Suburban.
Okay, my bad. So he looked at himself in the reflection, and when he saw how beautiful he was, like, I mean, look at Muad, mashallah. Look at Jameel, mashallah. He looked at his own beauty, and what happened? He got stuck. Fell into the water out of his own beauty and died. So that one post on Instagram has one of two consequences. Extreme narcissism. You become extremely focused on your external appearance. I have to look beautiful. I have to show that beauty. And I need that social approval. I need that. That's what I run off of. If I don't have that social approval, I'm done. I need it. And then when you don't get it, what happens? Extreme depression. What's wrong, honey? What's wrong, daughter? What's wrong? Problem is, no one's liking my photo. No one's approving of my new scarf. No one said it's nice. So why are you determining your value based on external things? So Imam Ghazali, he says, I'm going to read some from the text of Ihya so you can get some of his words, not my words. I mean, listen to Ihya. He says, اعلم أن من غلب على قلبي حب الجاه. He says, understand that whoever's heart becomes overcome with hubb jah, love of fame. Remember I said, anything you love will punish you, other than what love? The love of Allah. Man, whenever you love, you become a slave to that, man. Ask my wife. Ask those who love their car. Shining those rims. See one little scratch. Whatever you love, you become a slave of. Guaranteed. You can't help it. وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا أَشَدُّ حُبًّا لِلَّهِ. That's why for us, the thing that we love most, because I'm a slave of Allah. Now the problem that we fall into is you let other loves creep up. You know what I'm saying? The example I gave the Tulab was, it's Isha time. You know it's Isha time. You're watching Netflix. Which hub? Which love? What are you going to do? SubhanAllah, you got Netflix. When we watch shows, you couldn't pause it. We had to miss the episode for Isha. No, I'm just saying, no, all honesty, all seriousness, Isha time, something on Netflix. Okay, alhamdulillah, you guys are righteous. You don't watch Netflix, mashallah. Mashallah. What do? It all comes down to one thing. What do you love more? It all comes down to one thing. What do you love more? And that's the litmus test right there. Your actions are that test. So he says, whoever's heart is conquered by this hubb jah, صار مقصور الهم على مراعاة الخلق. He says this person's only concern becomes one thing. What do the people think? Whoever fame, love of fame, overcomes their heart, what does Imam Ghazali rahimahullah say? He says, صار مقصور الهم. All of your hum is your worry, what you're thinking about. All of it is all focused around one thing. مراعاة الخلق. Notice he says not خالق, خلق. All you're worried about is concern for the creation. What does she think right now about my blazer? What does he think about my blazer? How is it? Come on, somebody. Thank you. I was hoping you didn't give me a compliment, Sheikh. I was getting worried.
You're good.
I'm okay? Thank you. Jazakallah khair. I feel good now. مشغوفا بالتودد إليهم. He says that they become in love with or completely focused on قد شغفها حبا completely enamored with getting their love. I got to get the people's love. I got to get the people's attention. What does he think about me? And you know, one culture, I'm going to speak a different language for a moment. Lok kya kahenge. There's one, in Urdu they say, what are the people going to say? What are the people going to say? What are the people going to say? Sometimes the biggest decisions, you know what they say? Not what Allah is going to say. Lok kya kahenge. My bad.
Whatever that is.
It means what are the people going to say? But the point is, they're no longer looking from their own perspective or from Allah's perspective, which is the best. They're only looking at how do people look at us. That's it. That's all that matters at this point. Then he says, وَلَا يَزَالُ فِي أَقْوَالِهِ وَأَفْعَالِهِ مُلْتَفِتًا إِلَى مَا يُعْظِمُ مَنْزِلَتَهُ عِنْدَهُم. He says the person who's become in love with fame and having a position, La yazalu. Each one of his words, each one of his actions or her actions is only focused on how can I raise my status. Look at Imam Ghazali using the same word they use on social media now, status. How can I raise my status in their sides, in their eyes? And now here's the problem. Look at the core crux of the problem. He says, وَذَلِكَ بَذْرُ النِّفَاقِ. He's like, and that right there is the seed of hypocrisy. When all you care about is how am I going to get you guys to love me? That's all I care about. It's not about Allah's love. It's how am I going to get you guys to love me? What can I do to gain that love? So Imam Ghazali, he says, لِأَنَّ كُلُّ مَنْ طَلَبَ مَنْزِلَ فِي قُلُوبِ النَّاسِ اضْطَرَّ إِلَىٰ أَنْ يُنَافِعَهُم. Whoever is seeking out position in people's hearts. Now here's the danger. What you should realize from his verbiage is that our ultimate goal is to seek position in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because that's the ultimate love that we have. But these people who want fame and see that there's benefit from people knowing their name and sharing their photos and following them on Instagram and so on and so forth, they want to constantly benefit the people. Why? Because this will bring benefit to me. This will keep me in their hearts. So they have to do whatever it takes to keep the people liking them. Allah musta'an. وَيَجُرُ ذَلِكَ إِلَى مُرَاعَةِ بِالْعِبَادَاتِ. Now here's the thing for us. He says now what that leads to is first it's just in your dunyawi affairs. It's just in your Snapchat photos or your Instagram photos. It's your cat, a picture of your cat. It's, basic stuff. But he says what it leads to is you even start to look for people's approval in your ibadah. You even start now to use that. That's the way where shaitan finds his way in. So what I'm focused on for us is who here doesn't have social media? Illa masha'Allah, everyone. Everyone. And so we've been subtly programmed to operate on this wavelength of social approval. But the problem is a 10-year-old can't handle that, man. Sometimes a 14-year-old can't handle that. And so the problem is now when we talk about ikhlasun niyyah. Ikhlasun niyyah is the polar opposite, is the antithesis of what? Of riyah. And riyah is all based on the external. It's all based on hope of gaining the love of people. So what Imam Ghazali here is teaching us and telling us is that all you start doing is seeking after the people's hearts. You go after them, you go after them, you go after them. Now what Imam Ghazali, the beautiful thing about our scholars is they always gave the cure. They didn't just state the problem. Why? Because Rasul ﷺ said, لِكُلِّ دَاء دَوَاء عَلِمَهُ مَنْ عَلِمَ وَجَهِلَهُ مَنْ جَهِلَ. Rasul ﷺ said, for every sickness there is a cure. Some know, those who know, those who don't know, they don't know. So Rasul ﷺ, so Imam Ghazali speaking about this specific problem, which is love of fame, he tells how to solve it. Now here's my question to you. Do you like the likes? Do you like the likes? Let's be real. Come on, man. Don't be pious. Be real, yo. You like the likes? Of course we do. The problem is, the role of your aql is to prioritize your loves. I'll say that again. The role of the aql, what's the aql? The intellect. The role of the aql is to learn how to prioritize loves. It's not to not love something, but rather, can I give an example of the sunnah? Aisha says, radiallahu anha, when the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam was at home, he was kana fi mihnati baytihi. He would be working at home, he'd be playing around, he'd be joking with Aisha. What happens when the adhan goes off? كَأَنَّهُ لَمْ يَعْرِفْنَا. Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, she says, when the adhan would go off, it was as if he didn't even know who we were. Well, what happened? What do you think happened in that moment? He's at home, he's playing, he's joking. He's not on his phone, first of all, checking his likes. He's not checking his likes. He don't care about likes. And look how many people love him later. He cares about one love. One love. One love. That's why I began today's class. Allahumma inna nas'aluka hubbak. Oh Allah, we want your love. That's it. I'm tired of chasing people's love. I don't know about you. I'm tired of it. Because I can't get satisfied. Every love I had, I bought a WRX. I thought I loved it. Didn't fill me up. They're going to tell me buy a better car. It won't work. Whatever you go after in the dunya, sahibat, whatever you go after in the dunya, you think it's going to fill you up, it doesn't give you that fulfillment. Why? Because there's one thing that your heart was created to truly love. There's one reality, and you know what that is? It's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I was saying the role of the heart is to prefer a higher love over a lower love. A higher love has to be given preference over a lower love. So we like the likes, correct? But what we have to learn how to do is to create a higher love than those lower things. And that's why today I said I want to speak to you not just about hubbajah, but I want to talk to you about every single thing that you love other than Allah. Some of you guys like sleep Fajr time. Isn't it interesting that the adhan of Fajr has a little extra suggestion for you? What's the extra suggestion? Sleep is lovely. The adhan doesn't say sleep is bad. The adhan says sleep is lovely, but salah is better. So the key is not about what we love, but the thing is that the nafs fails to give preference over a higher love. Again, I'll use the Netflix example. Isha time, Netflix. I love Isha. Hearing the qira'ah, mashallah, the feeling of sujood, I love it. But I need to know what's going to happen next. What's going to happen next? That's the test of a higher love. So what do we have to do? What do we have to do, practically speaking, for whatever love it is that you have? The only reason you will give preference to a lower love over a higher love is you haven't truly understood that lower love. I'm going to say that again because this is key. The only reason that you will give preference to a lower love is because you haven't truly understood what? A higher love. You haven't truly understood the harms of the lower love, and you haven't truly understood. Can I give the best example I always give? Check. So my wife.
You in trouble already?
No, I'm good. This example, lower love, higher love. My wife only drinks water, mashallah. And I used to drink Sprite and soda and all these things. But alhamdulillah, my wife has trained me through multiple just lectures on the fawaid of no sugar. Multiple. Muad, remember I told you about this, right? And it's got to the point where I've heard it so much, and we talk about it so much, my children think Sprite is haram.
No.
They'll see other kids drinking Sprite, and Maria will go, Daddy, Baba, isn't that haram? I'm like, no, baby, it's not. It's okay. Now, here's the thing. I've heard this bayan lecture so many times on sugar. You know what I see when I look at sugar, Sprite now? I see one of these. I see my form going. I see the sugar and the harms of sugar. I see that in a cup. Now you look at Sprite and say, pass me another one. I look at Sprite because, now you may debate me, it's just an example, because I've heard so many times the harms of that sugar, that one can looks different to me than it looks to you. Do I like the taste of Sprite? Taban. Tastes great. But will my lower love overpower a higher love? Not when my wife is watching. No, the point being, you know how sometimes you say we've heard this lecture before? You know how many times I had to hear that sugar lecture before it finally sat? And even till today, every now and then I'll slip up and I'll get that lecture again. And I go, yes, okay, I know now, I'm good. No more. My point is, I love the Sprite. I love the sleep. But I had to read the hadith on the one who comes to Fajr. And read them over again, and over again, and over again, and over again, and over again. Why? Until when I'm sleeping and I'm about to wake up, I remember that hadith. Whoever's coming in the darkness will have complete light yawm al-qiyamah. I've read that so many times. I'm jumping out of my bed now. Why? Because I just read that hadith last night. And I read it again. I missed Fajr in the masjid the next day. Read those hadith again. Read the hadith now about the munafiqun. Those who weren't coming to Fajr when they could come to Fajr. So the point I'm trying to make is psychologically we have to learn how to create and prioritize the loves that we want to have over the loves that we don't want to have. That is the role of the aql. That is the role of listening to the sunnah over and over again, is to teach you how to give preference to a higher love over a lower love. When you learn how to do that, you will master the actions of yourself. So now, there's one of two reasons why you don't act on the higher love. There's only two reasons. So I know Sprite. Let's use Sprite. Sprite is our example now for what, everyone? A lower love and a higher love. Everyone get this example? Okay. There's only one of two reasons why a person would not act upon a higher love. Number one is doubt or lack of knowledge about the reality of something. Number one. You really don't know what's in Sprite. You really don't know. You really don't understand. You're really not convinced of it. Number one. For this, you need dars, you need education, and you need repetition. Repetition. That's the first reason. What's the second reason? Come on, this is easy. It's not a trick question. Overpowered by the nafs. I know it's how bad Sprite is, but the taste is just, it's good. So I'm overpowered. I'm overpowered. So the role of the qalb is for understanding, but it's also for power, for strength. And that's the role of the heart. So as I said tonight, what I wanted to speak about is not just not just this topic of hubb-i-jah, because this is just one type of love. What I wanted to actually talk about for us is the fact that you have to learn how to create loves. And you have to learn how to deprioritize the things you love, but you shouldn't love, and they shouldn't be overpowering. Fahimtum? Everyone understand this point? Because it's a key to your righteousness, actually. It's a key to your salah. It's a key to your dhikr. It's a key. Can I give the opposite as well? There may be things that you want to give up that you can't give up. There may be things that you want to give up that you can't give up. How do you do that? How do you do that? I know, I heard the lecture. I know it's good. So one of the things that Ibn Qayyim al-Jawzi and Imam Ghazali teach is you have to convince yourself. You have to learn and create a negative association to those things that you hate. Can I give an example my psychology teacher taught me? And I've done this a few times with our students. Can I give an example? Sheikh, I don't know if I can ask you this question, but if you want to fall out of love with someone.
That's a dangerous question.
Oh, it may be someone may need this little bit of information. How do you fall out of love? A psychology teacher once taught me this. How do you fall out of love with someone? All right. Anyone know this one? Except my student? Yes. There we go. So let me explain what you do. You take a picture of them, right? You take a picture of them, and on the back of the picture, you write some negative aspects. Their breath in the morning. I don't know, you can think of a bunch of things. Whatever you can think of. And any time you start to think, Fatima, you take out the picture. Fatima. Ooh, Fatima. You do that once. You do that twice. You do that thrice, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times. Guess what? After a week, the name Fatima will remind you of those things on the back automatically. Now, what have you done? You've taken a love out of your heart. You have taken it out. We always talk about love and hate as if it happens to me. I learned how to love coffee. Coffee. SubhanAllah. 1 second.
No sugar, please.
Oh, no sugar. Come on, I gave up Sprite, not sugar in my tea. Wow. Man. Oh, it's enough sugar. Okay. Oh, mashallah. Afwan samihni. What was I saying? My love for coffee, exactly. First sip of coffee, what is it? Bitter. But after a while, you love that bitterness. You can't go without it. You guys like that Starbucks stuff. Oh, it's real bitter. We don't even call that coffee, Sheikh. That's not even coffee, but that's a different halaqah. We'll do that. See, you're doing allergies. Please call me for the coffee halaqah.
Absolutely.
Please.
We'll do that.
Okay, tayyib, inshallah. Hadr, labbaik. Point being, I learned how to love coffee. And now, without sugar, it's straight. Everyone's, what are you doing? I love it. You ever see someone who lifts weights? You know the burn they get in the muscles? They love it. Who lifts heavy things for fun? Who in their right mind lifts heavy things for fun? But they learn to love that because of, a higher love. A higher love. They're lifting that weight and the guy's literally yelling at them. Literally, what is he saying? Higher love. Higher love. Higher love. Fight through it. Fight through it. Fight through it. You're on a football team, so a basketball team, you're running suicides back and forth. The coach is like, go, go, go. We're going to win the championship. What do? We just keep working. Keep working. Keep working. Why? Higher love. All life, all success, all progress, whether it be spiritual, economic, or any type, is about sacrificing lower loves for a higher love. When you learn how to do that, you've mastered yourself in everything. That's why when they asked Umar bin Khattab, how do you know what to do? He says, I listen to my nafs, I do the opposite. I listen to what my nafs wants to do, the lower self. Lower nafs says, go back to sleep. I say, all right, cool, let's get up. Because definitely you don't want what's better for me. Definitely you don't want what's better for me. It's heavy stuff. It's very interesting because we have to be empowered to control our spirituality. And when we say you have to love Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, someone gives a lecture on the minbar, love the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, love the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, love the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And you're like, okay, how? Well, how did you love lifting weights? You saw the benefit. You studied the benefit. You studied the what you get from it. And you fell in love with it. Whatever you fall in love with, you learned how to fall in love with that thing. Study the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. How do you love Allah? How do you fall in love with Allah? Go look at the creation of Allah. Dallas has the most beautiful sunsets. I mean, not most, but it's up there. It's nice.
Thank you.
It's mine too now. It's been 2 years. Can I claim Dallas too? Okay. They still keep, like, you're not from here. Who here is from here? No one's from here. Like, none of us from here, man. I realize that. Like, we're all muhajir. Khair, how do you fall in love with Allah? You look at the ayat of Allah. You keep studying those. You keep studying those. You keep studying those until that love comes into your heart. But you have to be the one to create that love inside of yourself. So Imam, coming back before we end, I only have a few minutes. What I wanted to do is I wanted to highlight some of the harms, some of the clear harms of this love of fame. This love of fame. Afwan samihni. In one hadith, which is the most beautiful hadith regarding this topic of being famous versus being unknown, one hadith which is narrated and Hakim Mustadrak narrates it, Imam Tirmidhi narrates it, and a few others. One day, Umar bin Khattab radiallahu an دخل المسجد فإذا بمعاذ بن جبل يبكي عند قبر النبي صلى الله عليه قبر الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم. Mu'adh bin Jabal is sitting next to where the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم's grave is. Umar bin Khattab walks in and he sees Mu'adh bin Jabal sitting there crying his eyes out. Crying his eyes. فقال له ما يبكيك. He goes up to him, he says, yo, what's up? Why are you crying? What makes you cry? فقال سمعت رسول صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول. He says, I heard the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم. He's just reflecting back on his beloved. He's reflecting back on his beloved. The beloved of the Sahaba. Who was the beloved of the Sahaba? Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was so beloved, Bilal had to leave Medina because he couldn't live after the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam passed away. Wherever he walks in Medina, he sees the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he breaks down. He breaks down. He breaks down. That was one Sahabi comes out of his house in the middle of the day, the sun is blazing. Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam meets him, he says, what brought you out of your house? He said, Wallah, I just needed to see your face. I just needed to see your face, Ya Rasulullah. Love of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So, Mu'adh bin Jabal is sitting next to the qabr of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam and he's weeping. Umar bin Khattab says, what's making you weep, man? What's going on? He says, I'm remembering something I heard the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam say. So now he shares the hadith. He says the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Inna yasir min ar-riya shirk. He says even a little bit of showing off in your actions is shirk. We all know what shirk is. Associating partners with Allah. When you love someone, you don't do stuff when they're for two reasons. You don't buy a gift because of two reasons. Like if you buy your wife it's a two bird in one stone, she's not taking it. She wants to know that this was purely khalis, mukhlis, for her only. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala aghya. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is even more, has more ghayra than that. So he says, Inna yasir min ar-riya shirk. Wa inna Allah, this is the part of the hadith I want us to focus on. Wa inna Allah yuhibbul atqiya akhfiya alladhina idha ghabu lam yuftaqadu wa idha hadaru lam yu'arafu. Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, indeed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves al-atqiya, the righteous people, al-akhfiya, hidden. In ghabu, if they don't show up, lam yaftaqidu. No one notices. No one notices. Where's Abdullah? No one even notices. Why? Because he's hidden. Subhanallah. وَإِنْ حَضَرُوا لَمْ يُعْرَفْ. They come, no one knows who they are. But in this hadith, Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam is showing how beautiful that quality is, that just no one knows me. Now it's the complete opposite. All of us want that moment of fame. We want that notoriety. And it's something that we have to be careful is not in our heart, that love to be known, because it's very dangerous. Khair, inshallah. Hit the 1 second mark, inshallah. In another hadith similar to that, Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, "Ulaika masabihud dunya." These are the lamps of the dunya. They will leave and be protected from every dark fitna. Who? These hidden awliya of Allah, the ones nobody knows. These are the ones whose hearts are protected. So it's a beautiful, there's so many ahadith that talk about the virtues. Ma alayka alla yu'raf. It won't harm you if no one knows who you are. No harm in it. Now, is fame a bad thing? No, of course not. Just the same way wealth is not a bad thing. All we're talking about today is hubbijah, love of seeking fame. Why? Because there must be one ultimate high love. Understand? What we're talking about today is not to be known. The prophets were known. Awliya were known. No problem. What we're talking about today is hubb, wanting, desiring. May Allah give us tawfiq, inshallah. May Allah give us tawfiq to give preference to the higher loves. Amen. May Allah give us the ability to learn how to deprioritize lower loves. Amen. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us a heart that has strength to act upon those things, inshallah ta'ala. If there's any questions, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair, barakallah fiik, Shaykhana, for this beautiful presentation. We do have some questions from audience online, but I want to see if anyone has any question here first, inshallah ta'ala. Anyone has a question? Go ahead.
Yes. So the question,
okay.
I want to repeat it, and then you can help me with it.
No, I just want to make sure that you
repeat it. Yeah. The question is, how do we prioritize? How do we get the awareness of those loves that should be prioritized? Right? So there's two places, Sharia and Aql. Sharia and the intellect. Nur ala nur. These are two lights that should guide us to the prioritizing that which is best for ourselves. So let me give an example. The aql is the thing that looks for the ultimate good in us, for us. The nafs is the thing that looks for the most immediate good. I'll say that one more time. The aql, the intellect, when sound, looks for that which will bring the best, even in the long term for us. That's the role of the aql. The sharia does the same exact thing. So these two things should be the guidelines that teach us what should be prioritized. Other than that, I would never know. I wouldn't wake up at 4 a.m. for tahajjud unless my Prophet Muhammad taught me about that fadila of waking up. Unless I knew that Allah calls in the third portion of the night who wants anything, how would I know to wake up at that time? Fahimt? So the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam himself is the way we know the priority of true things. Otherwise, I have no clue what time to wake up. Do you get what I'm saying? I only know that through the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So I think basic understanding of the deen will give you that understanding of what to prioritize and what not. Now, what I'm trying to do in this session is teach you how to create the loves that you need. Every day, he's going to teach you what love you're supposed to have. But now I'm trying to empower you and say, you take responsibility for loving what you want to love. And you take responsibility for deprioritizing what you don't want to love. Fahimt? Just like Fatima. Ooh. Now, yeah, come on.
Jazakallah khair. Sisters, any
Jokes
questions?
are just falling on the floor right here, like, boom.
It's too cold outside. That's any question from the sister side? Okay, so I have a question from our online audience. One of the sisters, she's saying, how would you overcome the paranoia that you might only be doing an act of worship because it makes you look good? Like always good.
Yes.
I worship for the sake of Allah, but sometimes, I'm afraid that I'm doing this because it makes me look good.
One thing I would say to this sister is, One way shaitan comes into us and stops us from an action is to come through this door as well. You're not mukhlis. You're not sincere. You're not doing it for the right reason. So you stop it. And shaitan's like, yes, got him. Right? Came through which door? The door of righteousness. La yukallifullahu nafsan illa wus'aha. Correct your intention before. I'm doing this for God. Only Allah. While I'm doing the action, I say to myself, nope, this is for Allah. Now, shaitan will keep whispering. Someone's watching. So. After the action, don't even hint. You know, there's someone, you want to let people know I'm fasting. You're kind of like, you need some water? No, I'm fasting. No, none of that, none of that. Keep it hidden. So long as you yourself, sister, are trying to make your intention pure, that alone Allah loves. Everyone understand? Just the struggle that, Ya Allah, I want to do this only for you. That alone is praiseworthy. And Allah will open that door for you, inshallah ta'ala. But never stop an action because of this thought. Never stop an action. Because then you know shaitan is happy. He got his objective, that you're not doing the action. But he did it from the root of piousness.
Can I add?
Please,
Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anh, that he asked the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, قال يا رسول الله الرجل يعمل عمل لله يحمده الناس عليه. I do something for the sake of Allah, but then I get praise from people. Like, does that ruin it? Does that end up, kind of like all my deeds are gone? The Prophet ﷺ said, قَالَ تِلْكَ عَاجِلُ بُشْرَ الْمُؤْمِنِ. This is the quick good news from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for them in the dunya. Like, as long as you're doing it for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal, it doesn't matter if people praise you or otherwise. But what matters is that you yourself shouldn't be bothered by the reproach or even, feeling overconfident with the praise of the people. As long as you do for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Can I add? So this is a very important point. Tilka bushra ajila. Again, your intention, that is a good sign that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves that action. And again, just for this sister, the point I was trying to make is that you cannot ever allow that to come into your mind that, oh, I should stop this action or something like that just because something has come. You have no control over that, and you just keep on pushing that I'm only doing this action for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Any questions, Jama'ah, here? Yes.
No. Yeah. So Sister Fatima, it's a long question. Where does love of praise and hatred of criticism come into this discussion? And how do we balance the hadith that spoke about the person who's unknown, walks in the masjid, no one knows, versus those who are well known? How does someone who's well known deal with that? Imam Ghazali in this, I mean, in 1 hour, we have no time to really do any justice to the intricacies of this hubbijah. But what he does is he breaks it down into two things. There's primarily two things that happen inside of us, which is karahat al-dham, we hate criticism. What about that? So in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describing the awliya, la yakhafuna lawmata la'im. They don't fear the criticism of the people blaming them. When their moral compass is correct, when their actions are done for the sake of Allah, then they have the ability to have thick skin and block out the criticism that is unwarranted, right? So the other side is love of praise, that we all naturally love praise. But where that becomes dangerous is when you won't even care about what the action is so long that I get praise. Right? So we're at that point now where we post so many things on social media, not because it's a good thing, but because it will bring me praise. And we won't speak on certain things because we fear criticism. Now, it's a tough thing to do, but we should strive to reach that level of righteousness and confidence that if I'm speaking truth, I will, with emotional intelligence and cordially, stay true to my principles, regardless of what people say about me. Sheikh, do you want to?
No, Jazakallah khair. No, that's it, exact, subhanAllah. I mean, it happens these days, unfortunately, with the age of, again, like you said, Sheikh, everybody has access to Wi-Fi and a smartphone, became celebrity of their own. So sometimes I've been to different conferences and different places. It bothers me when some of the speakers will be bothered by the presence or the lack of presence in the audience. Like you come to a lecture and you have maybe about 5-10 people, and people are bothered by that.
SubhanAllah.
So I mean, subhanAllah, we shouldn't be bothered by that, because when it comes to seeking knowledge, it's very selective. Meaning out of 1,000 people, probably maybe one person might be the one that Allah subhanahu will choose to become the next leader of the ummah. So it doesn't really matter whether you're teaching 10 people or 1,000 people. What matters is that maybe one of these people somewhere in there could be the next barakah, the next sadaqah jariyah for you. So you always just keep that in mind, inshallah, tabaraka wa ta'ala. We have another question here online. Sisters asking, Sheikh, is it okay to post the pictures on social media of your family? What do you do? Where do you go? What do you eat? And all these things occasionally, every now and then. Even though your intention is not to show off, does that invite evil eye?
Oh.
So basically,
It just turned a quick turn there.
yeah. So two
I was
questions.
like, whoa, where'd that go all of a sudden?
So two questions in one shot.
So, al-aynu haq, first and foremost. Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, ayn is haq.
No.
Evil eye is true. Kullu ni'matin mahsuda. Every ni'mah will have someone that has some tab'i hasad. They don't even mean to have hasad. And it has an effect. What is the reality of that effect? All we know is that Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, al-aynu haq.
No.
He said that evil eye is a true thing. It has an effect, okay? So, استعينوا على حاجاتكم بالكتمان. The beginning of that hadith is, whatever you're trying to accomplish, do it quietly, secretly. You know, some of us are those people, when we just get an idea, we tell everyone we started something. No one here does that? You just got the idea and you go, so I'm opening a new business. Like, oh, really? When? I'm thinking about, oh, okay, you're thinking about it. I'm writing a book. Really? Did you start? No, I'm thinking about writing it. So the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, this is a beautiful hadith. He said, seek help on what you're trying to accomplish through secrecy. Don't tell everyone. Just do it. Just do it. Then when it's done, say, here's the book.
No.
You know, here's the thing. And then, why do I say that? Because the hadith continues, فَكُلُّ النِّعْمَةٍ مَحْسُودَةٍ. That's the beginning of that hadith, that every ni'mah, there's hasad, there's some type of jealousy that can be there. So to answer the question, I have yet to put a picture of my son and daughters on social media. My wife would kill me. No, but there's no need in mine. I know other scholars that are completely different. You asked me, this is my personal thing. I don't want my life on the world. It's my life.
No.
I would like my life to be my personal life. So that's my personal, Sheikh, whatever.
SubhanAllah, when it comes to hasad, Sheikh, in Surah Yusuf, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is reporting to us a very interesting event over here. Yusuf alayhi salam comes to his dad and says, Ya abati, inni ra'aytu ahada ashara kawkaba wa shamsa wal qamar ra'aytum li sajidin. My father, I've seen the sun and the moon and the planets and making sujood for me. His father tells him, قال يا بني لا تقصص رؤياك على إخوتك فيكيد لك كيدا. He says, my dear son, don't tell your brothers. Don't tell your brothers, something might happen. The shaitan is clever, might, cause some fitna over here. So the ulama, they say, subhanAllah, this is between you and your own blood relative, your own siblings. Can you imagine when you post the ice cream you're just about to eat right now to your 10,000, 5,000, imaginary friends that you have on your social media?
Yeah.
And you can imagine when you put all of this before even you start eating it, subhanAllah.
Yeah.
You're going to get diarrhea in 50 seconds after that.
Literally, Sheikh, my wife only posts the food after we done. For this same reason. Beautiful dish, whatever. She started an Instagram account of the dishes she cooks. One day we got sick. From then on, everything's posted the days after.
Alhamdulillah. That's good, alhamdulillah.
When you're digested completely.
Question for Brother Zafar.
Do you want to take this one?
No.
Just because the Prophet taught us. The question is, the okay. The question is a great question. The question is, everything happens by the will of Allah. Why should I worry about evil eye? Here's the reason why. For everything that happens, there is a sabab, a means or a cause to it. Everything that happens. You want children? Get married. That's the cause for you to have children. You want a paycheck? Get a job. That's the cause. Yes, God can provide for you. God can make your stomach full right now without you eating a bit of food. But there's a world in alamul asbab. This world is all about cause and effect. Everything. Everything. The Prophet himself teaches us, alayhi salam, things that have effects. So now, he's teaching us that one effect on you, one thing that can affect you is evil eye. So it goes in line with the rationale of the entire alim of the alim that Allah has created. That there's cause and effect to everything. And yes, God can make me satiated right now by just saying kun fayakun, but He tells me I should eat food, and if I don't eat food, I'll get hungry. Similarly, there's an effect through evil eye that happens, and that's just the nature of sabab and musabbab, cause and effect. Does that help? No, not at all. I think what we're doing is we're using extremes here. There should be a balance of it. So to speak about the blessings, the Prophet himself has told us. He saw one man dressed really shabby, and he said, "Do you have wealth?" He says, "Yeah, I got a lot, but I like to save my money." So the Prophet, so I said, he didn't say that part. That's just fine.
Can I say something about
Please.
it? So here's the thing. You, alhamdulillah, having nice house, nice car, nice clothes. This is a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for you and upon you. And Allah commands us to show the blessings He bestows upon us subhanahu wa ta'ala. But that's for you. For other people, your blessings can be a cause of fitna for them that might cause evil eye on you. It's their fitna now. So if this happens, it might cause harm to you. So also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered us to protect ourselves and our blessing that be bestowed upon us from these kind of incidents. We need to seek His refuge in Him and protection, as it was mentioned in Surah قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ and also Surah An-Nas as well too. So it's again like the Shaykh was mentioning, everything has sabab and musabbib, like has cause and effect over here. So our life is intermingling with a lot of asbab. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed me with wealth. I'm going to show the blessing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestowed upon me because that's His command. But that also could be a mean of fitna to other people. I'm not the source of fitna. It's their heart that has a disease in it. So therefore, that could be fitna that might cause harm to me. And I seek refuge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect me from that. I never stop showing the blessings of Allah upon me if I'm doing it for the right reason. But at the same time, I'm also required to safeguard that, alhamdulillah, ni'mah, by seeking refuge and protection from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No. Regardless, all the time. Absolutely.
Bismillah.
At all time, you should always seek refuge from Allah, protection from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sheikh, another question we have here from online audience. Salam Sheikh, is it wrong to show off if the intention is to motivate and encourage people, like reading Quran loudly to encourage, motivate other members of the family at home?
So, from an usuli perspective, if your intention is to motivate others, then that can be very rewarding, of course. We all know. If you fear, though, that your intention is not pure, then you should be careful. All right? So, usuli perspective, yes, if I do it openly, in tubada sadaqati fani'ammahi. If you openly give sadaqah, it's good. Why? Because it encourages. وَإِن تُخْفُوهَا وَتُؤْتُوهَا الْفُقَرَاءَ. But if you hide it and give it low-key, so my suggestion is whatever you do openly, match that on the low. You feel me? Okay, no slang here at all. Like,
No.
Goodness.
Suburban, Sheikh.
Oh my God. Whatever you do openly, do similar, just as much on the low, unbeknownst to people.
No. No.
And the reason is so that you're just in case. Like, just in case my intention's off a little, all right, I got backup, I'm good.
Good.
Uh-huh. No, that's beautiful. That's yes, your first intention should be for nafa of your own self. Like if the mask drops, put yours on first. Like, that's the first thing. If someone's drowning, you want to make sure you're not drowning first and then help other people. So your first intention, the question was, just to repeat the question, is it okay to seek knowledge for the intention of benefiting the ummah? Yes. But your first intention should be what? Yeah, of course.
No.
You don't want to end up in the hellfire and take everyone else to Jannah.
No.
Okay, so your first intention is, Ya Allah, I want this knowledge to get myself to your pleasure. And on the way, I want to take as many as I can with me.
But Sheikh, the danger also from that is a very slippery slope, path. Just like the reward is so great for being alim and seeking knowledge, because Allah says, إِنَّمَا يَخْشَى اللَّهَ مِنْ عِبَادِ الْعُلَمَاء. Those who truly fear Allah among His servants are those who are the knowledgeable ones, those who have knowledge. So that's very rewarding. But at the same time, the Prophet ﷺ said that among the first people, Jahannam will be tusa'aru bihim. It means the fire of hell will be fueled by these people first. He says, someone who went out seeking knowledge just to be told that he was alim. لِيُقَالَ عَالِم. وَقَدْ قِيل. And he got the fame, he got the name, that he's alim. So the intention to get the name and the fame can be the cause for the person to be thrown in Jahannam first, but doing it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is absolutely among the best things you could do. So the intention is so hard and difficult to maintain. Sufyan al-Thawri rahimahullah ta'ala, he said that قال عالجت نيتي 40 سنة. I've been struggling with my intention for 40 years. I'm still doing it. So it's an ongoing battle that you will never stop battling and dealing with. But you need to always keep yourself on check, inshallah ta'ala. Last question we have here from the audience, inshallah, online. Sheikh, how can you silence the lower self so that you can listen to and trust your gut feeling rather than always doing the opposite?
Okay, so I mentioned how sometimes you have to ignore the lower self and do the opposite of what it says. This is in the beginning stages of your development. Nafsul lawama, right? Nafsul lawama is a nafs that constantly wants to do, nafsul amara bisu, it always wants to do like bad stuff. So in the beginning stages, you definitely want to go against that nafs. Put it this way. When you're first starting to get that membership at the gym, the nafs is amara bisu. It don't want to go.
No.
So it'll tell you later, tomorrow, not now. It'll tell you this stuff. You literally just got to ignore it. After a while, you get addicted to the gym. You're nafsul mutama'inna, right? You get addicted to the gym. At that point, the nafs wants to go to the gym 3 times a day. At that point, you can listen to the nafs. At that point. But generally speaking, that's at the later stages, That takes time to get to. For most of us, we have to keep a check on our nafs, and whatever it's asking, lay that on the litmus test or weigh that on the scale of sunnah. Whatever the nafs is asking for. Okay? Allah give us tawfiq, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair. Barakallah bikum, Shaykh Mikhail Smith, for this beautiful presentation on the dangers of fame, ujb, and also riya, showing off. And with that, we come to the conclusion of our series that we launched, alhamdulillah, throughout the month of February, Al-Qalam Institute month at Valley Ranch Islamic Center. Alhamdulillah, we had four beautiful presentations from different speakers and teachers of Al-Qalam Institute, and we're looking forward, inshallah ta'ala, for more binillah azza wa jal. May Allah reward them all for all the khair that have benefited the community, inshallah tabaraka wa ta'ala. I remind you, inshallah azza wa jal, that next week we have a one-time session on the sunnah of dealing or healing from allergies. We're going to hear from a doctor, specialist in the subject of allergies. Specifically for us here in Dallas, we need to know how and why and all these things about it. And second thing, inshallah, going to have it on a nutritionist, inshallah, or dietitian who is going to teach us on how to eat healthy in that season, particularly for that, what could be cause of allergies. And inshallah, we're going to hear from the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ how to deal with it. It's going to be next week, inshallah, same time after Salat al-Isha binillah azza wa jal. The week after, we're going to take a break for the spring break, inshallah. And when we resume with a new series in preparation for the month of Ramadan, that will be launched between Maghrib and Isha with the time change, inshallah, tabaraka wa ta'ala. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.